Am I the a-hole for ditching my date at the restaurant? Am I the a-hole I refused to put my brother up for adoption? Am I the a-hole for refusing to host Thanksgiving for 20 plus people for the fourth year in a row? Am I the a-hole for ditching my date at the restaurant? Beyond anyone thinks this is fake, let me assure you I wish this was. I am in shock. I, 26 male, just recently went on a date with a 25 to 28 female girl last Tuesday. We met at the gym. I've had a crush on her for a while and finally struck up a convo and asked her out. I booked us at a nice Korean restaurant that has Korean barbecue stations. So we sit at the bar and have a pleasant chat for a few minutes, and then they tell us our table is ready. Then we go to our table and it's got a huge grill with a fire on it, and she instantly asks what this is. How does anyone not know what Korean barbecue is? But I brushed it off and explained to her, and she was like, "But why do we have to do all the work? Lol." Yes, she said lol. Unironically, isn't that their job? I explained to her that's what's fun about it, but we could always order off to the a la carte menu if she didn't want barbecue. But she said, just make them do it for us. And instead on calling the waitress over and asking her to put the meat on the grill and demanded to be served after it was ready. This elderly Korean lady had to shuffle between busy tables and come and flip the meat and serve our plates. But wait, it gets worse. So at this point, I'm super embarrassed and seeing red flags like crazy. I'm Indian, so I kinda used to the whole servant master attitude thing because it's big in India. But I'm not a fan of it, and I thought it was super weird here in the States. But I wanted to see the date to the end, and yes, shamelessly enough, I was hoping for some adult time. At the end of the meal, she asks for dessert. I agree and ask to see the menu. The waitress comes over and gives the menu and hands it to her. She then waits for her to leave and says, "My God, this place is a nightmare. All these useless immigrants," she's white, "come into the country and don't even work and eat up our tax dollars? Are they even legal?" And she said it loudly enough that a nearby table of brown people in their 20s started giving her dirty looks and whispering to each other. She notices this and goes, "Same goes for these insert racist word for people of Pakistan." At this point, my jaw dropped. I'm Indian and she used this in front of me. She saw my expression and went, "Oh no, I didn't mean Latinos, they're fine. I love Mexican food." So it seems that she thinks I was Latino. My birth country never really came up as I speak with an American accent. And she uses a racist word against my own countrymen in front of me. So we get dessert. I get up to use the bathroom, pay off the bill with a good tip, and walk out the door. I left her there, I drove us and went back and blocked her number. Now I'm even thinking of switching gyms, but I'm just gonna go in the morning. I don't know what I will say if I ever meet her again. Am I the a-hole for ditching my date without transport at the restaurant? Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for the support and awards, guys. Let me address some points. It was funny to me she didn't know what Korean barbecue was, considering I knew it, because I've never seen it in my country and she lived here her whole life. The city has Korean restaurants since the 90s. I couldn't be stuck in the car for 20 minutes with someone who thinks my people are trash. 3. I wasn't going to sleep with her after I actually got to know her. I didn't know she was this bad until the end. Initially, I just thought she had a strong opinion on self-service at restaurants. 4. I'm not going to tell you what the word was, just Google it if you're interested.
The SH. She was clearly abusive to the staff and racist. You just passively supported her abuse by agreeing to it. You didn't offer to flip your food or serve it up. You allowed an elderly, overworked staff to take care of the two of you. You didn't disagree or object to her nasty comments. Sure, I get it. You really wanted adult time. Having sex is more important than your morals or ethics. You were fine with her attitude at this point of the date until she made racist comments about Pakistanis. Then the amount of racism and nastiness trumped the possibility of sex. Lastly, instead of telling your date at any point that you object to her attitude or treatment of others, you just bail. No adult conversation of what went wrong. Just a passive-aggressive "I'm going to leave you to fend for yourself and leave you to guess what went wrong." I hope in the future you can communicate and figure out what to do when a date expresses ideas, morals, and ethics that you and society at large find repulsive. It's scary, communication. Having long-term relationships without it are impossible or at most horrible. BSH. Don't be shocked at others when I don't know something. I'm Asian in a high Asian population area and never had KBBQ until after I graduated from college. I'm not stupid, just didn't have a reason to go. Also, there are many KBBQ restaurants that will cut and cook the food for you as their policy, it just depends. The point being, it's okay to go with the flow and enjoy each experience non-judgmentally, or do a more forceful job of protecting your waitress if you felt strongly. But more importantly, have some standards. She's a mega asshole for being a racist, but you're the one who had dinner with a racist cause you were horny. Not much better. Draw the line much closer to your principles next time cause otherwise you're asking for trouble. I'm going with ESH yes. She's the bigger asshole and her behavior was absolutely abhorrent. That's disgusting and she needs to change. But you're not innocent in all this. First, you did act condescendingly towards her for not knowing what Korean BBQ was, intentionally or not. Take a few minutes to explain beforehand if you do this again. Second, she demanded that the already busy elderly waitress do everything. Instead of speaking up then, or offering to do it yourself and trying to involve her, you enabled it all for the mere hope of having sex. Third, she was blatantly racist and disrespectful to Asians and Latinos, not caring who heard, but you only drew the line when it was your ethnicity she insulted. Rather than shut it down and explain that you will be leaving and do not want to speak to her again for her racist behavior, you just left her so she could believe you're just a jerk. I will give you points for paying and tipping, but next time, don't put up with someone racist and abusive in hopes of having sex. It's not worth it.
Am I the a-hole I refuse to put my brother up for adoption? Not the a-hole. I, 28 male, and my wife, 28 female, have been married for 2 years. My wife is 4 months pregnant. My parents died in a car crash about a month ago and my brother, 14 male, has nobody to turn to except me. We have no other living relatives. I decided to take in my brother until he's an adult, but my wife feels like it's not our responsibility to take care for my brother since she's pregnant. She wants me to focus only on our child. I told her that my brother has nowhere to go and hence, he'll be staying with us at least until he's an adult. She's mad at me and is refusing to talk to me unless I put my brother up for adoption. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. Just thought I'd add this in since some of you may be confused by the age gap. I was a teenage pregnancy. Edit 2. It will not be hard financially on us since our parents left me and my brother an inheritance as well as a college fund for him and all of that can go into taking care of him.
NTA and honestly, wife is being TA, sorry. Your teenage brother and you have lost your parents unexpectedly and she wants you to throw your brother into the foster care system. She doesn't think you can give enough attention or care to her and your unborn child. Pregnancy is a stressful, emotional time, but her lack of compassion for your brother the situation and selfishness is startling and gross and not the best indicator of how she'll behave as a mother. The lack of empathy is concerning. It may be a financial hardship to care for a teenager while you're starting a family of your own, but your brother needs you. Good luck to you all. NTA honestly your wife's attitude towards your now orphan brother is shockingly cold and well just shocking. There is no scenario in which you should be expected to abandon your orphan brother when you're able to take him in unless there's some extreme behavioral issue or something like that which just makes it impossible. The idea of expecting you to turn him away is well hard to stomach and I can't even fathom what kind of person she is. I'm sorry to say. Maybe it's hormones. I hope so, but you're doing what anybody would do in a situation like this, and it should be expected when you marry somebody. There could be times when you have to just do hard things and make the most of the situation in the name of helping out each other's families, so that should be expected, and this is outrageous in my opinion. She should be so glad to know that she married someone who will take care of his responsibilities rather than ditch them, because it's easy and preferable thing to do, no matter who they hurt. I'd be a little bit alarmed if I were you, because she's doing the opposite. I want to say not the asshole, but I think we actually need more info. What is your current housing situation? Do you have enough bedrooms so that both the baby and your brother will each get their own room? Do you think maybe your wife might not be comfortable with a teenage boy living in her house because then she can't freely be herself in her own home? Like walking around in her bathrobe or underwear, openly breastfeeding, having sex, etc. Brother is still young, but does he have plans to go to college? What if he doesn't want to go to college? Or what if he wants to go to a community college that doesn't dorm or go somewhere local and live at home? I agree that as your only living blood relative, you should take in your brother, but what are your expectations? Do you expect him to move out when he turns 18? Or will you continue to house him while he goes to school? Will you expect him to do chores around the house and clean up after himself? Maybe your wife fears that she will end up having to clean his room and bathroom and do his laundry, which she absolutely should not be doing. I think you need to have a family meeting, brother included, and discuss your wants and feelings. Your wife fears that by taking in your brother, you won't focus on the new baby. But he's 14, not 4. Teenagers don't need constant supervision. If anything, I feel like they just want to be left alone. Tell him that he has to do chores and clean up after himself and enforce a curfew. But I think your wife is being very short-sighted and she could show more empathy. Which country this is, but the idea of putting a 14-year-old up for adoption is ridiculous. People adopt babies, overwhelmingly. He is not going to another family. If you turn him over to the system, the best he can hope for is finding a foster home that doesn't suck, or he'll be stuck in a group home. I'm blaming pregnancy hormones for her anxiety, cause who'd be this callous. Be absolutely blunt that you lost your parents and you aren't about to lose your only remaining relative too. Cause I bet no grieving 14-year-old would understand being turned down like that. He will feel abandoned and is going to do the same to you once he is an adult and on his own. Having his uncle around is going to be a blessing for the baby. He needs to concentrate on his studies, but at 14, he is capable enough to entertain it for a short time while you run an errand or take over errands and chores for you. And I don't mean seeing him as an inbuilt babysitter before anyone jumps on that, but helping out like an older sibling might. You had the exact same age difference to him as he will have with a baby. When she calms down, maybe sharing your experience and feelings would help. But I agree with other commenters that she can deal with having another person around for 4 years till he leaves for college, or she can look into the reality of being a single mom. Cause this is something you really shouldn't budge on. Maybe she is anxious that there will be more work to do when she is adjusting to being a mom. I'd suggest taking up more chores at home if you don't already split 50-50s, like doing your own laundry and making frozen meals, so she knows your brother won't depend on her for basics.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to host Thanksgiving for 20+ people for the 4th year in a row? So my fiancé has a rather large family. Parents, 2 brothers with significant others, numerous adult nieces and nephews and their partners, and there's usually always some distant aunt, uncle, or cousin that tags along. I have 2 family members that join holidays. This year, neither will be able to attend. Last year, one was present. So for the past 4 years, I've been single-handedly cooking from scratch and hosting for both Thanksgiving and Christmas. So essentially, I've been cooking dinner for 20 people or so while my partner babysits a brisket in the smoker. There's a lot of logistics behind cooking for a large crowd. I start prepping the night before, cook all morning and afternoon, and by the time everything is done, I'm too exhausted to enjoy the food I cooked and eat. Last year, I requested that everyone attending brings one side dish or dessert. No one brought anything. I had a feeling that's what it was going to be. As no one mentioned what they're bringing, so I prepared for it anyway. Just to also mention, I have never been thanked for hosting or cooking, literally by no one. All leftovers get picked over and taken home. Last year, I also had to cook the following day because there was nothing left to eat except some baked brie and that my mother-in-law turned her nose up to, and I wanted to enjoy leftovers at least. This year, I told my partner that I have no intention of cooking. If he wanted to host, he can cater. His reaction was, "But that's our tradition. Can't you at least make some box stuffing or something? And everyone is planning on coming." My reaction was, "Nope, that's your tradition. I will not make boxed stuffing, and if they're planning on coming, you better put that catering order in." He has not spoken to me since. I also had to explain, and I shouldn't have to, that I haven't been feeling well. I finished an 8-month course of a pretty rough medication that dries out all the joints in your body. I've been achy and miserable, and I feel stiff when I overwork myself. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to entertain 20 plus people twice a year every year? I have decided to possibly sit out to Thanksgiving completely, buy a pre-made single-serving Thanksgiving dinner at the local grocery that just needs to be popped in the oven for a while, and going to watch the new Lady Gaga movie. Edit. Guys, my partner found this post and sent me the link. Now apparently we're canceling everything because I'm venting to strangers on the internet. I guess he didn't like what he read. Oops.
Honestly, I'm not surprised they assumed they were coming for the holidays. It seems once a thing like that gets started, it just carries on. We started hosting Christmas Eve about 8 to 10 years ago, and from the first year on, it was assumed Christmas Eve was at our house. That's just how it works. His family and especially your partner were wrong to not offer to help and to thank you profusely for all you did. The relatives should have cleaned up afterwards. Your man should have been helping with everything. My husband and I host a lot of various things, and it was made crystal clear to him from the get-go what was expected of him by me, so we wouldn't have these disagreements later. Nobody wants a crap holiday with hurt feelings. Like, when he brought up doing Christmas Eve, I know his family has all these traditional dishes. I told him we could host, but I'm not learning to make any of that stuff, and so one of the cousins stepped up. You guys have to all work together, it makes for a better holiday for everyone anyway. Can't you maybe agree to cook the turkey and a pie, just an example, and other people can be responsible for other things? And then you don't make backups. If all that's on the table is a turkey, then you've done your part. Boycotting a holiday isn't a way to a happy future, but being clear about your needs. NTA, I am so familiar with having a family of ungrateful moochers. I am turning 21 this year, and for the past 20 years my mother has basically single-handedly hosted Christmas and Thanksgiving every single year with zero help. Though she loves hosting and cooking, which is why she started doing it in the first place, it was always so much stress. Nobody offered to come help cook, bring anything, or even clean up. She barely even got to enjoy the food herself, since she was always so focused on catering to everyone. They all came with nothing, ate all my mom's wonderful food, took leftovers, and left. For 20 years. Now we love our family and those gatherings hold a lot of fond memories, but family can be exhausting and stressful, and not to mention ungrateful. When my family decided we were doing an intimate Thanksgiving and Christmas over COVID last year, it was the best holidays ever. No stress, we all cooked together and listened to music and ate in our pajamas. People were pissed. But my mom couldn't do it anymore, and you shouldn't have to either. I completely understand. You should really talk to your husband and let him know how much this really takes a toll. It's really not that hard for him to ask his family to bring some fucking potatoes or something. Think about if that's the kind of family you want to have, cause holidays are forever. Sending love OP, I hope you can have a peaceful and loving holiday no matter. It's not your job because you're the woman to cook for ungrateful, unhelpful in-laws. He has 2 hands. He can cook boxed stuffing. He can cook all day. The issue is that he wants to use your free labor. Now that you put up a boundary, he's not talking to you. That's childish and a red flag. He feels entitled to your labor. He's angry that you are not excited to give your day away cooking and not even enjoying leftovers from your efforts. I would take catering off the table, too, with his behavior. I wouldn't be surprised to hear backhanded comments about how they don't like the catered meal. I would tell your fiancé that you spot his manipulative behavior and that you're not impressed. I'd seriously reconsider this relationship if he prioritized this family over your happiness. And feels entitled enough to act like a 13-year-old child. NTA.